So I see some people in the comments section bringing up this example of the American citizen who does a job here for $20 an hour, and then an immigrant comes in and undercuts them because they'll work for less and steals their job. And this little scenario seems like it could be plausible on its face, but in reality, it's nothing but pure fiction. So today, I'm going to explain as simply as I can why it's quite literally impossible for an immigrant to come here and take somebody's job, and how this fallacy represents a fundamental misunderstanding with how the economy works here. I like to look at the big picture. A lot of people, especially in the YouTube comments, want to try to drag me down into the weeds, bickering over details, and to me that's kind of a waste of time, because I feel like if you see the big picture and understand how the economy works on a fundamental level, it should be easy to understand why immigrants do not steal jobs. In fact, they are some of the biggest job creators in society. So right off the bat, immigrants have been coming to this country at a steady rate ever since its inception. And also for that entire time, people have been complaining about immigrants, saying they're stealing our jobs and destroying society. 100 years ago, people were complaining about Irish people during the potato famine. And well, what happened? Why didn't all the Irish people steal everybody's job many times over by now? Well, I'll tell you, and this is pretty much the main point of the whole video right here. But the only way it would be possible for an immigrant to come to this country and take somebody else's job away from them would be if we were at the absolute limit of population that the land here could sustain, and we didn't have enough resources to go around for everyone. Well, we have about 380 million people in this country. Is that it? Is that the limit? Is that all we can handle? Well, China is a similar sized country to us, and they have over 1 billion people living there. So pretty much no matter how you look at it, I'm quite certain that 400 million people is not the limit here in America. And no, I'm not necessarily in favor of having 1 billion people here, but the truth is that no one is talking about having some extreme amount of immigrants coming here all at once. I'd be here all day if I tried to debunk all the ridiculous lies and straw man arguments about immigrants coming from Trump and the right. But no one in America is in favor of open borders. There are not tens of millions of illegals flooding across the border. Undocumented immigrants do not get any government benefits, and they cannot vote because they're not citizens. I know these basic facts may be difficult for some of you to hear, but that is how it is. And when it comes to immigrants and crime, I'm going to make a whole separate video about that, because that's a whole other topic on its own. But I will remind you that it is basically proven at this point that immigrants are far less likely to commit crimes than natural-born citizens. But with that caveat aside, the truth is that our economy here has relied on a steady stream of immigrants ever since the beginning. And this is how it works. When an immigrant first comes here to America, they start out at the bottom, doing the worst, dirtiest jobs that nobody else wants to do, meat packing, and picking fruit in the fields and construction. And then over time, they hopefully are able to work their way up into the middle class so that their kids and their kids after them can have a better life. And now that their kids have access to education and are doing more high-skilled jobs, we need more immigrants to come in and repeat the cycle. The jobs that these immigrants do are really the foundational bedrock of our economy. It's the food we eat, the roads we drive on, the infrastructure that we utilize. Literally nothing in society happens without those foundational jobs being done. And the truth is that immigrants coming here are not taking jobs from Americans who already have them. They're doing the jobs that most Americans who were born here either cannot or will not do. These are jobs that will very likely just go undone without them being here. And the thing is, it would be one thing if they were just coming here and looking for a free ride. But they're literally the hardest workers in our entire society. They pull their weight. They contribute to the economy just as much as anyone else, if not more so. Think about it like this. If you are in an economy that is all about producing value, whatever that may be, then having more workers in your society producing more stuff is not ever going to be a bad thing for the economy. When immigrants come here and work at a meat packing plant, for example, that meatpacking plant can now produce more meat than it would have otherwise. And with more meat to ship out, that means that there are more jobs for truck drivers and more jobs for the people at the grocery stores who sell the meat. And it's a good thing that we're producing more meat because we have more people here now who need to eat. And those new people who are here also need stuff like housing. And luckily, one of the main jobs that immigrants do is construction. You see, on a macro level, as long as we can continue to sustain an increase in population, having more workers in our economy is never going to be a bad thing for anyone. Immigrants don't steal jobs, they create them with their labor. See, because the true job creators in our society is not billionaires and corporations. They're the people, the workers themselves, who make everything happen. And the immigrants who do the toughest jobs are the foundation of it all. Even in the unlikely cherry-pick scenario where an immigrant actually comes here and temporarily takes somebody else's job, the economic activity that is spurned from that new worker being here grows the economy and makes everyone in the long run better off, so that person should easily be able to find a new job. The one example I can think of immigrants coming to this country actually being a negative, harmful thing for society is, of course, the one type of immigration that Trump loves, which is short-term work visas. Him and other rich scumbags like him used programs like this to ship in a bunch of cheap labor and then immediately just ship them right back where they came from. It's just an exploitative system, while at the same time legitimately taking away jobs from Americans who could do them. Because the people who come here on these short-term visas don't stay and become citizens and contribute to the economy in the long term. They just go right back where they came from, taking much of the money they made with them. The only people that these short-term work visas benefit are rich people by giving them cheap labor. But the main two reasons why it's harmful for society is, number one, that they aren't staying here long-term, and number two, that the workers do not have the power to collectively bargain with their employer and fight for fair treatment. So, with that aside, the only real problem we have in this country with immigration is that it is way too difficult and complicated for immigrants to actually become naturalized citizens. That's why I'm in favor of a pathway to citizenship. In the long run, having more workers in your society is a boost for the economy. It improves productivity. The only problem with our economy now, and the reason that our wages have been stagnant or getting lower for decades, is because the working people nowadays are no longer seeing the benefits from that increased productivity. It's all just going straight up to the top to a few billionaires who are hoarding it all. And now they have driven us into a scarcity mindset where wealth and resources and jobs are hard to come by, where we're all fighting with each other over crumbs down here at the bottom, and they're just sitting up there with the whole pie. And when you're in this mindset, it makes it easy to start blaming immigrants and other people around you who are just in the same situation as you for your problems. But the truth is that we have more wealth and resources than we could ever need in this country. When the economy grows, everybody should benefit. The fact that that is no longer the case right now has absolutely nothing to do with immigrants and everything to do with billionaires scamming us. Our wages are determined by the collective bargaining power of all of us as workers, not immigrants. The only real problem with our economy nowadays is inequality. And if you want to know more about that, I made another video about that called What's Wrong with America, where I explain the entire problem with the American economy in just one graph, and then 6 other graphs for extra credit. Check it out.